Due to adult content, parental discretion is advised.
To begin.
Are you watching closely?
How to start.
Titus, I'm bored. What plaything can you offer me today?
In Life Itself, a memoir, Roger Ebert begins. I was born inside the movie of my life.
I was born a poor black child.
The visuals were before me.
I was born in it, molded by it.
The audio surrounded me. The plot unfolded inevitably, but not necessarily. I don't remember how I got into the movie, but it continues to entertain me. At first, the frames flicker without connection.
We all are born with a certain package. We are who we are. Where we were born, who we were born as, how we were raised. We're kind of stuck inside that person. And the purpose of civilization and growth is to be able to reach out and empathize a little bit with other people. And for me, the movies are like a machine that generates empathy. It lets you understand a little bit more about different hopes, aspirations, dreams, and fears. It helps us to identify with the people who are sharing this journey with us.
Here's the deal. Just give me the facts.
Just the facts. Only the facts.
Breathe. Focus. Keep it simple.
No doubt. Okay.
Welcome to Cock and Bull Minute, a Tristram Shandy story. A podcast in which, eventually, ostensibly, at some point, we will be talking about the 2005 film Tristram Shandy, a cock and bull story, 1 minute at a time.
Good Lord, what is this story all about?
Cock and a bull story.
Here's your host, me, Robert Black.
Hi, we're here to talking about Group 17, Halloween, and Punch Drunk Love. With us is David Forsythe.
Is it set in 78? I know the
Yes.
initial part is like 63 or something like that.
63 and then 78 because he's been in the hospital for 15 years.
Okay.
You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
Although the credits call him 23 instead of 21, which is wrong.
Seems like they're deliberately trying to set at least Laurie sort of out of time in that. Or out of, she's not hip and modern, right?
Right. Her bedroom has I forget the guy's name, but there's an old classic painting on the wall. She's got a Raggedy Ann doll, which had been already popular, but weren't quite popular in the 70s. They came back in the 80s. That is not technically true. Here's a segment from Michael Myers Minute explaining.
While the Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy angle of brother and sister certainly doesn't mean anything here in this film alone. One, it's an interesting angle in the retroactive continuity. Laurie has Raggedy Ann, but not Raggedy Andy, because Michael is her Raggedy Andy. Two, it is worth noting that back in minute 17, there were 2 Raggedy Ann costumes at the elementary school. In 1977, there was, of course, Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure, an animated feature which I have vague memories of watching when I was very young, and there being some creepy moments to it, but it would explain the popularity and presence of at least 3 Raggedy Ann references in the film. Additionally, there would be a TV Christmas special in 78 and a Halloween special in 79. 3. Never mind the connection to Halloween. The Raggedy Ann lore is actually pretty interesting. Raggedy Ann was created by Johnny Gruelle early in the 20th century. He patented the doll in 1915. There are at least 3 different notable legends about Raggedy Ann recounted on the website, raggedyann.com. First, Gruelle's daughter Marcella finds an unremarkable doll in her grandmother's attic and brings it to her cartoonist father. He draws on a face, and the grandmother sews on a replacement eye for one that is missing. Gruelle names the daughter after 2 poems from a book on a shelf nearby, The Raggedy Man and Little Orphaned Annie, both by James Whitcomb Riley. RaggedyAnn.com says this legend, quote, conveys things the cold hard facts cannot, like the wonder of a long-forgotten family doll being discovered by a little girl in the magical and mysterious environs of the grandmother's attic, and it reflects the devotion of a father taking time out of a busy day to minister to his daughter's new charge. The legendary account provides the kind of magical underpinnings and romantic detailing that a doll like Raggedy Ann deserves, end quote. But there's another version. Marcella dies from the ravages of an infected vaccination at the age of 13. The Raggedy Ann stories arose from stories Gruelle used to tell Marcella in her final days, and he named the human owner of these dolls in the stories, Marcella, for his recently deceased daughter. Because of this legend, Anti-vaxxers have adopted Raggedy Ann as a symbol. The third legend is not about Raggedy Ann's origin, but about the early dolls that Grell and his family made. Supposedly, they gave the dolls a literal candy heart, as the storied version of Raggedy Ann has, the spiritual source of her sweet outlook and kindly ways. Unlike Laurie's doll, and Laurie here in this first film, Raggedy Ann does have that equally spirited brother, Andy.
And she's, that poster for the Belgian painter whose name I can't remember now.
That's the guy with the hat. From my notes for Michael Myers Minute, but never actually detailed too much in this show. Specifically, Laurie has James Ensor's Self-Portrait with Flowered Hat, 1883, hanging above her dresser. This self-portrait was originally painted in 1883, but the hat and mustache were added in 1888, according to the Kayama Art Gallery website. Ensor, who often painted people wearing masks, chose an incongruous hat for this portrait to make a visual point, perhaps. But really the question is not why did Ensor paint it, but why does Laurie Strode have it on her bedroom wall? A straight academic self-portrait made strange and unusual. Perhaps Laurie picked this because it suggests an openness to new things that she yearns for, but does not feel.
Yeah, instead of like a, I don't know, Tom Selleck poster.
Right.
I don't know what teenage girls had on their walls in the 70s.
Yeah, she doesn't have anything pop culture.
Yeah. You know, she dresses very much like a, I don't know, Amish is not quite right, but...
She dresses like a Mormon.
Yeah. Or like an Amish on their Rumspringa, right?
Yeah.
So, an Amish, is that, I don't even know how they... I'm sure that sounds right. Can you call them that? I don't know.
I don't know. An Amish person.
Yeah.
And, well, so does Michael, really, utilitarian garb. Just wears what's handy.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
And hey, Halloween 4 was filmed in Utah, so it all works out.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah, I struggle to remember the order of things. Like 3 is the easy one to place, but right, like what happens in the other ones is...
Second one's a hospital. Fourth one is his niece and her adopted sister.
Yeah.
And they end up shooting him out in the middle of nowhere by the road. Fifth one, he comes back a year later and Jamie is mute. And there's the little kid. They go to the party at the farm. And then 6 is the one a lot of people hate. I don't like 6. Although I saw it a lot. I worked in a movie theater when it was out.
Yeah.
With Paul Rudd.
Oh, yeah.
And the radio DJ coming to town.
Yeah.
And the weird ending.
Well,
Because they ran out of footage, sort of.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story once, but I don't know if I know the whole thing, but...
The producer's ending is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it also is missing stuff, because they literally just don't have the either ending they needed.
Terrible.
Yeah. And then it gets weird.
Yeah.
Then it starts to reset and...
It's H2O after that, itself. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all the retconning and... Yeah.
There's a great comic that tries to connect those two and put them in the same timeline. I'm like, good job. Yeah, good try.
Interesting. I didn't know about that. Is that just like under the Halloween moniker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a few pretty good Halloween comics, actually. I've talked about it in Michael Myers Minute a lot. One that has nothing to do with like the characters we know other than Michael. It's called Night Dance, I think it is, where it's actually the town next to Haddonfield. It's pretty good. And unfortunately the last one they did got canceled before it finished. And it was like Laurie after the events of the 2 movies. And I don't know what happened. Interrupting really quick to say that Stefan Hutchinson, who wrote the first death of Laurie Strode, the one that got canceled, recently did an interview with Bloody Disgusting. This was just a few days ago, November 6th, in which he details a lot of the behind-the-scenes problems they had with putting the comic out and why it never got finished, in case you're interested.
Yeah, licensed comics are weird. Yeah, they either don't sell well and get canned, or the license holder claws things back when they want to. People didn't so much care about the, didn't consider comics and books canon for a long time, but now that's sort of, I don't know. I say let it go.
There's some good stuff in them too. They did some sort of illustrated prose things as well, where there's a story about the mechanic who is, we don't meet him. He's just his dead body is out by the phone booth by the train.
Yeah.
And there's a story about him and why he was hanging out there that night.
Oh, right. That's the one that proves that Loomis is also a terrible detective as well as a terrible psychiatrist, whatever he is.
Well, yeah. Because in the movie, does he even see that body? I don't think so.
No, he randomly, like, he just sort of, like, looks over and sees the truck. He's like, oh, what's this? And then he spends, you know, a 30-second shot looking at some nondescript red. Oh, it was the matchbook, I think is what it was.
It's the matchbook, although the great thing about that prose story is that matchbook is a coincidence. It's not the one that was in the station wagon the night before.
Right. It's just a place where the mechanic was hanging out.
So it's just chance.
That's funny.
Which is great.
Yeah, but then he never sees the body. Stupid Loomis.
There's a really good story from Loomis's perspective where it like goes back to in the hospital and comes forward to the movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's about how Loomis got his degree from a correspondence school in Venezuela or something like that.
No, it's just about how he was always bad at his job.
Oh, okay. Just further proof.
Yeah. There's more violence in the hospital.
Yeah.
People die and no one can prove Michael does it.
Right.
Good stuff.
I want to pin it on a poor education system.
Which that was taken actually from anecdotes in like the first chapter, the second chapter of the novel, but the novel doesn't really exist. You can't find it anywhere unless you got $400.
I mean, I could probably scrounge it up, but probably would get some funny looks if I did that. So
I found someone who had a PDF of it.
Yeah.
I do have the actual books of the second and fourth though.
I know I had one of the novelizations at some point, but I don't know if that's what, are you talking about the ones that are writings of the book or books about the movie?
In this case they were written, like the original one was written, they did a draft of the screenplay and then gave that to the guy writing the novel.
Yeah.
He added stuff while they were taking stuff out.
Oh, okay.
Turning it into a new draft of screenplay. And so there's more stuff in the book, including an origin as to why Michael is killing people, which ties ahead into like the sixth movie and the druid stuff.
Yeah, right.
So it all works.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things that I really enjoy the first, the original 78 Halloween that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I am casually interested. You know, I've seen all of the other Halloween movies and the ones that, you know, came out while I've been an adult. I've, you know, been there in the first night or two to see. So I'm a fan, but I've never really dug into the lore because it's all sort of had too many hands in the pot, I think. So, but yeah, it sounds like there might be some interesting.
I like trying to make sense of that stuff. Like in the past week and a half, I was watching the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah.
Leading into like Halloween season. And trying to make those work is difficult because so many different people were involved and people who didn't realize like the second, third, and fourth movie take place within a week.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But like a guy in the fourth one is talking about how his sister was supposedly killed by Jason and he's been looking for him. He's got news clippings. His sister died like 3 days ago. Like there's no news clippings for that yet.
Yeah, no. I mean, there may be some, you know, local newspaper, but.
Right.
Nobody's got
one headline, no useful information to clip out and keep.
Yeah, right. I'm in New Jersey now, and the you know, the original camp, which I never remember the name of.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
It is Camp Nobibosco.
You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse.
It's nearby. Around Halloween, they do tours of it usually, and they usually sell out instantly. But because of the pandemic this year, they have only been allowing people from New Jersey and parts of Pennsylvania to come in and take the tours. So they were more readily available. And we were on the verge of buying them and going to see this thing, but numbers started creeping up. So we decided not to do that. But
that's when we get to the scarier things than horror films.
Yeah, right.
Reality.
Let's not.
No, we don't need that. We need people randomly killing people in small towns because that's wholesome.
Right. Right.
It is in a way. I mean, the whole, like, sort of politics of a slasher film is conservative.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
With a weird feminist ending. It's like both a response to feminism and, hey, feminism is cool at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I often wonder, like, was that a struggle between Carpenter and Deborah, right? Like
on Halloween?
Yeah.
Maybe a little. I mean, ultimately Loomis saves Laurie, but barely, and he fails at the same time.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
I mean, Halloween 2, he then blows himself up, so he's not very good at it.
No. I mean, he's clearly a nervous shot, right? Like, or a nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The scene where he pulls out his gun the first time into the window breaking. It's great for that.
Oh, yeah. With the sheriff, right? With, what's her name's dad?
Yeah. Sheriff Lee Brackett.
That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, I think the original holds up, and I don't want to even use that phrase holds up because I think it does more than holds up, right? Like it sets a standard, I don't feel like there's much camp in that one at all, honestly.
No.
I mean, when you watch it in retrospect, things seem kind of campy because it was the 70s.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, the outfits are a little weird. And
yeah. You're seeing the artifacts.
You don't even get much music, and when they watch movies, they're watching older movies, so it's not...
Yeah, right.
They don't go to like a disco dance in the middle of it.
Yeah. But the later ones definitely bring some camp to the experience, I think.
Halloween doesn't much.
Maybe not. I don't know. I think you're probably right. I think I'm lumping them in with a lot of the other slashers.
Friday the 13th does a bit, and Nightmare on Elm Street is deliberately that way in its comedy once it's past the first film at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because Freddy is funny and he does crazy things.
Right.
And camp is fine in a horror film.
Oh yeah.
It's done well.
I like a good camp horror flick. And it's, and in the campy, not like campground.
Right.
Although I'll take either.
Yes.
Honestly.
Camp and camp, both.
Right. Campy camp.
So, once again, where can the listeners eventually hear you?
Come on over to Facebook, and if you look for either Rock and Roll High School Minute or Edge of Tomorrow Minute, there are holding pages for both of those, and Edge of Tomorrow Minute's much, much closer. It's one of those things that, we've got probably enough in the can to start releasing them now, but my schedule of producing them has been so slow that I know we would be on hiatus sooner than I would like. So.
That's the problem I had last year with The Room.
Yeah.
And then I put it on hiatus, and then lockdown started right when we were coming back to recording, and it was just like, ugh. So now I've had 3 episodes of that show come out this year. We've recorded almost the whole thing, I just haven't had time to edit them.
I think we've done 12 or 15 episodes of Edge of Tomorrow. I could probably just slap on the beginnings and the intros and the outros and just release it all and be like, binge it, we'll be back whenever. Yeah. But that's not how you build an audience for your podcast.
So, you gotta space those things out.
Whatever.
Wait, podcasts have audiences?
We got at least one listener to this episode and, cause I'm a narcissist about it, so.
I don't even listen to my shows anymore. I don't have a commute this year. Working from home.
Yeah, right. I find myself doing a lot of, taking a lot of extra time with the laundry or the dishes in order to get a podcast in every now and again. So.
I should have a specific activity that I listen to podcasts.
I've got raking coming up, which will, that'll give me a few hours of whatnot here and there, so.
Instead, I just produce extra podcasts.
Right. This is the, Welcome to the Raking Podcast, where you'll hear 4 hours of metal rakes on...
Show's called Raking on a Saturday.
Raking with Dave.
Check it out on all your favorite podcatchers.
Yep. Oh, listen to these wet leaves over here compared to these dry leaves. You like the sound of that?
You just, while you rake, you just talk about whatever's going on in the news that day. It's perfect.
And the squirrels are really going crazy on the bird feeder.
I love it.
Done. In the can.
Thank you for listening. This has been Cock and Bull Minute, a Tristram Shandy story. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cock Bull Minute. Find more content at lemmingdrops.com.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A Mandalorian! Why would you create such an abomination? This is the weapon of a coward.
It's a past stuff that dreams are made of.
Cut. That's a wrap.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing!
You're still here?
You just don't turn it off!
It's over. Go home. Go.